So once again, hi everyone. I hope we all are doing great. In case you're wondering, it's Kingsley. Kingsley's the one behind the KS logo. So hi Trust.
Hello, good afternoon, or good morning rather.
Oh, good morning. I would assume that Eunice. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Name sounds Eunice, but the voice sounds Eunice, but the name is Trust. So it's still your name, but that's okay. Yeah. Hi, Emmanuel.
Hello, Kingsley. Hi, Trust. Good morning.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much for thank you so much for joining in. Um, today, today we'll just pretty much be having a more like practical, I don't know if I should call it practical session, but um a design brainstorming session, right? Um, this particular issue, right? It's something we've been like on about for a while now. Like even sometime, I don't know, maybe 2023 or last year, we've been on about it for a while. So, and it's pretty much like a responsibility right now, or I think it's even more like super important now to get it done or start working on it. And that with our brand style guide, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I did recommend, I did mention like it's interesting, I've had several calls with people and have several onboarding sessions talking about this, and then I'm not really seeing like work, right? So I just felt like the solution to it is like to do it on the call and not really like expect people to leave the call, and because I noticed that people don't really get to engage so much after the call. So I'm gonna share my screen to probably provide some more insight to some things, right? Because I do notice some icons here. So I'm just gonna share some things first. Then, um, please just let me know when you can see my screen, please.
Yeah, we can
Hello.
see it. Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's visible.
Okay. So, first, I just want to mention that okay, this is Eunice. Again, I'm not sure if Eunice is the one behind the trust name, but I would just want to just put this out here, just in case someone else like wanted to go in this direction. So I know I didn't mention this, but we have um we have this general space back then. Because when I joined Chaos, right, um things pretty much started with um badging website design. Forgive my background, actually is it's noisy. It is someone, okay, maybe this was some other event, or I can't remember. I have to pull this to there. So my our work started off with badging project, the DI badging website design. And a lot of work went into that. And eventually, of course, um, the site was implemented, though not exactly what we worked on. A different approach was taken, like for the design, because we now got some partnership and also a couple of changes were made. But before that, like if you can notice, like I will consider this an official, like our product design, like our product design workspace. maybe you have to do something up, or I just shared the link in the chat. So I will consider, except otherwise, um, except maybe something else comes up and we have need to create another space. Why I'm saying that is because or we can still create another space within the chaos team on Figma, right? So you can still have access to the same style system that was created, right? So like I know, okay, Lamy at the time took up time to work on a couple of these. There was even a button here with like a lot of actions to involved. I think most of these were, yeah, CTA, a lot of predefined this thing. So yeah, so what I am saying this because so anytime we probably maybe product design responsibilities, and so I know for a while we started using it for a couple of other things. If you go through the different pages, you see a lot of things, but this was like our first official workspace, and this was supposed to be focused on product design. So if you go through the different pages, you see a lot of things. That being said, let me go back to this page. I noticed someone dropped something we might I'm going to take this to this branding. So I personally created this page, another page, to focus on like our brand assets, all right? Talking about the flyers, thinking about the, just for example, let me just take us to um okay, before I do that. So that being said, I am not sure like we'll need this on this page, right? Or I am not so sure if we're gonna explore this. I know sometimes even on flyers or other asset to use icon, but so that was why I sort of like pulled this up. If it was in a direction of product design, uh like style system, that wasn't like entirely what I meant. What I our focus here it's just more around more of the brand visuals. So I'm gonna go to this page, playground. So I think you can still spotlight me. I'm just gonna walk us through a couple of things. So if you check now, most of these is actually what I've been doing. So, and I personally don't want to be like the only one doing them, right? So, and I know that we all don't have like equal visual skills. Some persons here are pro with product design. Some persons are probably with illustrations and right? The design space is vast. So, but then a lot of times we get a lot of requests around like this visual work, right? For example, something like this is always something we do every year at the end or at the beginning of every year where we have like a chaos wrap, right? Showing, I know I've done like several iterations for this design, but I think this one was done. I worked on this early this year, right? So things like this, right? And then of course the Happy New Year design. This was last year, a new month's designs. This was just about like this event just happened last weekend. I think last weekend, last week Friday, right? So I had to like work on different iterations. This is also like a Twitter space we had, X space, forgive me, we had a while back. So and then this was also like an express we had. This was an express we had some time ago too. So if you go through this, you'll see. So, but then there's just like different stuff, right? Maybe there was a time we worked on stuff for accessibility. So what exactly am I looking at, or do I want us to really like focus on when it comes to the chaos branding, creating brand assets? Is for example, we can have things like this, these flyers like created, right? Just defining different styles, how possibly, so something like this. Um, I think that's how I tried to put some of this together. I didn't want to put this. on the page so that if anyone wants to work on something, it won't, because we are still at that brainstorming phase. So I know sometimes if people see something that has been worked on already, it's sort of like it boxes your creativity. So that's why I didn't want to put this on this page, but I guess we've all seen it right now. So, but what I want us to do is like exploring things around this, right? Around, not forgive me, I'm saying around this, but yeah, can be around this or beyond. So I think this is what I also meant by like just saying, asking people to go on Pinterest. I don't know, maybe someone did this. Going on Pinterest, getting screenshots, of like, high quality, top notch, like brand designs that could cut across um, flyers. And when you screenshot something, probably it could be, oh, you were not really interested in like the flyer, but this image concept, because here we have something for um, under these deliverables, we have imagery, right? Maybe you want every chaos flyers, we should play around the imagery. So you could, I think just like this person put a texture and all that layout. So you could have a section that for imagery, which it signifies that, oh, like maybe you love, to play around something like this. Or if, and then again, this has nothing to do with you, this initial stage of going through Pinterest, or any other platform you feel like you get inspiration to make screen grabs, and share things. Yeah, it has nothing to do with whether you are the one that'll be working on it or not. It's more like, come on, it's just a creative exercise, which I think maybe we're still going to do that too on this call, right? So we'll work on it together on this call and see how we can make some progress around that. And I think to maybe after now, I'm going to give us time to each one of us to probably also share some ideas. But then I think one of that stuff too, I would love us to really, talk about on this call. So is exploring like the different possible keywords, right, within like an open source community, right? What are those keywords, and what brand tone are we going to be looking at, comparing it with the existing chaos brand style, which is the logo, we have majorly, and a few assets we have ready. So this is about this. And just in case you don't know, Chaos has Chaos Cast, which is a podcast, right? That also hosts something like that. Is pretty much something if you're interested also in talking about. I think there's a working group. You could also kind of like reach out and either contribute or speak to them. And sometimes in Chaos Cast, so Chaos Cast also have like a Chaos Cast special branded logo with its own designs, maybe invited guests to speak. And so it's just so vast when it comes to the things we have to do. Um, Recently, not recently, last year, I think the education working group led by, I think, Peculiar, she did reach out for some assets for, because I even made that suggestion to improve on our current presentation slides, chaos presentation slides, working on something more minimal. And I'm not sure I can pull up the current slides we have. Like, it's not really looking so good. So while we designers just to innovate and make things look better, right? So that's also one thing I know that in fact there's pressure to deliver on it because I've been getting this request from Peculiar. She reached out recently again. Um, okay, I think is that not Peculiar? That should be Peculiar. So yeah, so you see, we need all, but everything we're gonna be doing here right now, it's gonna be like a building block, right? Everything we're gonna be doing is gonna be a building block. For me, particularly, I've just really been a fan of like seeing how we can be creating assets we can play around with the chaos icon mark. Maybe something like this give an idea, right? And like so there's actually so much, right, that can be done, right? So that by the time we start creating the different assets we need, everything, there will be some semblance. And then again, why this work is important is because chaos is at the center of open source health, open source diversity. But I'm just going to focus more around open source health. By open source health is that most of the practices we observe here in chaos is supposed to be what we do, and then most of it's what we're supposed to are supposed to be sort of like metrics and examples like other open source communities could learn from, because health simply means um sustainability. Health simply means um in literal terms that okay, this thing is working fine, this thing is good, right? So you're in good health means you're stable, you're fine mentally, physically, and otherwise, right? So when we talk about open source health, it's not just about that the technical team or the developers are doing amazing work. A healthy open source community will be a community where like every every skill required, right, to build a product or anything all comes together and functioning fully and effectively. So we can talk about open source health and then, or we can even talk about design working group health. And then we have 100% product designers. We don't have brand designers. We don't have illustrators. We don't even have motion people, right? So the only time we can boast about that is when we leverage these different skills, right? And if we don't have in-house skills, it's also our responsibility to walk up to that point where a lot of these people come in and also want to contribute. So I'm going to pause there. I've probably been talking for more than 20 minutes, Lord. I'm going to pause here and then open it up, right? And for anyone that wants to make contribution based on what I just said, and I think the next thing on our agenda will now be like hands-on like work, right? Going to the Pinterest right now on this call, and then making our research, our brainstorming to guide our design. Yeah. So please, this is open. I want to yeah, any comments, any thoughts we have so far on everything I've said, and what possible suggestions do you have, please?
Okay. Thanks so much, Kingsley. So, um, I think from all you said, I think there's something that is sort of consistent in terms of what we need to achieve is to ensure that we have like sort of like a system that anybody who works on any aspect of chaos would have like something to reference to, and we don't have different type of designs like it's an open source thing, and any we want people to be able to contribute meaningfully and also not sort of boxed. So but at least there is a guideline, there's level of how will I put it now? There's level of guideline for them to use to be able to, go ahead and do a couple of things. So I just think for me, I think the colors are sort of pretty defined. I mean, it might just be maybe a couple of typography and maybe another idea that I think I wanted that when we were talking that came to my mind is that we could, I don't know how far you guys have gone in terms of research. We could also sort of do some, I don't want to call it mini research or like research in terms of what are other communities out there, not necessarily open source community, but community branding in sort of like, okay, that has sort of events that do sort of a couple of things that we do, and we could study the branding system, how do they talk, like how do they approach it, so that it gives us like a template. Then we are not starting from scratch. It's not always good for designers to always try to invent the way you could actually look at something and see what someone has done, and you could use that as foundation and you could keep building on that, then you could bring in your own peculiarity and your own context and just build from that. So that I think that's kind of what's in my brain. I don't know if it's my one part of my brain is saying it's a lazy man's approach, but I think it's just a smart approach. So like, okay, I don't know the level of research that have been done before now that we have a mood board now. But I'm just thinking if we have a mood board that's kind of shows more of like communities, maybe one that will be a bit closer to that might be events. So we see some event branding and community branding look somehow the same. So we could look at the tone and just get some inspiration from it. That's kind of what me I want to suggest because right now we have a predefined color. I know we don't have like consistent fonts. I think that's kind of what we can now work on to have like a set of defined brand guideline. That's just what I want to add.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Emmanuel, for the feedback. We are certainly going to talk about that. And also, just to add that for the mood board, right? Nothing is set on stone. So we're still building it. So, like I said when we started that, I think asking people to go do like contribute to the mood board after the call, right, hasn't really been productive, right? So I'm seeing how we can buy some time after our initial conversation to do this real work, right, while on the call. Like, come on, we are designers. Instead of having boring conversations, right? We can work well on the call, right? And we can do this brainstorming while on the call. We can do the things we can do within the time we have. And then after this, I think that gives people a lot more direction, especially people that are not really like into like brand or visual design, right? It sort of like gives a good picture, right? Because personally, when I'm also working, I know like one of the things that delays productivity for me is if I haven't gotten a clear picture of what I'm working on, right? So I think usually that's the only thing that delays, my productivity or delays, making design. So once I get a picture of what I'm supposed to do, then execution is not always a problem for me. So that being said, thank you so much. I'm sharing this document for us, please, first before we get someone else to speak. Um, Please, this is the meeting note. I'm gonna add today's date. Just to add. Okay. So please, you can add your name to just load up the documents. Click on design. There are different working groups, so you see the recent. So that's where you add your name to. Yeah, and then okay, so also I will need help from someone to document what Emmanuel just said. Feedback. Okay, I don't know if that's it's supposed to be right level for it. So please, someone can just kind of like help me out. I don't know. Yeah. So just kind of like just take a minute of some of the stuff that is being discussed. So I may not be able to handle that simultaneously. I think you must said something remarkably about community branding. We wouldn't want to miss that. So that's kind of like a keyword. One of the keywords we can also add to our mood board. Okay, so thank you, Emmanuel. I think I'm just going to move over to, I don't know what else want to, you have something different from what Emmanuel said, and then you want to, you want to make your own comments, you want to give your own thoughts on it, please, you're highly welcome to do so.
Hello, please, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear from my end.
All right. So I wanted to ask, do we have any policy for using AI generated art?
Okay, so at the moment, right, except I know one of the policy I'm fully aware of, that chaos isn't in support of. Okay, um, please, before I say anything, Peculiar, you can respond to that, please. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Sorry,
Hi.
Kelsey, I raised my hand because of the question. I, yeah, when you asked of that question, I want to tell you that yesterday during a general chaos meeting, sorry, this issue came up, right? Issue of using AI in what we do at chaos, maybe generated content, documentation, and metrics is practitioner guide. I know it's going to be all aspect, but the issue was raised yesterday, and there haven't been a conclusion about that. So, um, in a subsequent meeting, according to what was said yesterday, they're going to keep deliberating on that and discussing it till they make a final decision on that. So, at the moment, um, how can I put it? It has not really like said openly, okay, go ahead and use that. So I can put it that way. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Peculiar. So Peculiar is one of the leaders of the Chaos Working Group, and specifically more around the educational working group, right? Helping create resources, content for the Chaos open source resources, right? Learning resources. So yeah, so people people get to use this tool to generate things. But then I think I'm just going to narrow it down to design and how it concerns us. I wasn't part of the meeting, but um, so my recommendation would be, so if you have, definitely you can ignore using AI, right? Especially if um I use AI for a lot of things. I think except designing visuals. I use it personally, right, to optimize, product design, especially around user experience and all. But I haven't really used to like maybe visuals like generating files and all that. So, but if you want to work with that, my recommendation would be just be around, building, for example, some of the prompts could be around like, you're branding for a community, these are the keywords, these are the ideas you're looking at. And by the time you get those ideas, right, then you can create a mood board here, right? And just screenshot everything and just share it here, right? So it also gives, because I want us to, at the end of the day, I don't think the issue of creativity, AI creativity, it's subjective, right? What I mean subjective is like creativity is almost exclusively a human thing, right? When it comes to AI, it's just going to run a lot of mathematics and probably just compare with a lot of existing things, which is also still definitely how you work as a human. You definitely, just like what Emmanuel suggested, you make comparison, check out what has been done. But then there's just a point where empathy, right? And empathy, tone, right? And some of these things, storytelling, right? Some of these things are more of a human factor that still can really influence the design to a great extent. So so the answer to your question is yes, internally when we are kind of like building ideas like what we're doing now, you can use it to generate art, but I wouldn't really recommend that if you're pushing out things, right, for now. If you're pushing it, maybe if you want to, yeah, if it's something that requires a photo, We are also very careful in just grabbing any photos, except maybe in events like this. Definitely, these are humans of chaos, but we don't just randomly. Generally, our designs, we sort of like really avoid using random photos online. So maybe if something that is AI generated, no copyright issues, and if we have to make a design that requires that, fine. But on the other hand, one of that area we tend to explore if it's something you have to use imagery is illustration because it's just an art that is being created, most maybe with someone within the community. So these are also areas I want us to look at. So yes, you can use it to explore, but I think just create art. But I would recommend you create it and share it on the workspace, and then maybe we can go through it together before either improve on what has been done before getting to push anything out. So I don't know if that makes sense. Trust.
Yes, it does. It answers my question. Just one last thing. Okay, don't worry. I'll just request access. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Yeah. So Felix, do you want to say anything before we get to work?
No, no, actually, no. I don't. I've been listening, so I have no question.
Oh, okay. I think maybe I remember, Trust. I think we've had a call on AFOS projects before. You sound so much like Eunice. Sorry.
Yes, you have.
Oh, I am so sorry for taking you for another person. Please, I am so sorry.
No, 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 no,
Eunice
no.
is
That's
actually
completely on me. I haven't been
Eunice is
around,
actually
so
one of the contributors. Oh, yeah, it's really
yeah,
been a long time. I'm so glad
yeah,
to
it
have you
has.
join
It
us
has.
again. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so I think this is gonna be like the last lap, and then that's where like we jump over to Pinterest. Do you make visual designs, Trust, like brand identity,
Oh no.
designs?
So I
Okay.
do uh, product design, but in some cases I've had to do like graphic design, and so like
Um,
social media posters, flyers, banners, all those things.
yeah, so it's just definitely exactly what I'm talking about, right? um, you know, I think it's always impossible for a designer these days, except you're just so lucky, man. Your company just allows you to work on product design only. But I haven't been so lucky to just work exclusively on product design work, and I always find myself just kind of like a jack of all trades. So, okay, we all can go to oh, crying out loud. We all can go to Pinterest, right? The ideas we all shared, right? Okay, it's specifically around Emmanuel. Okay, so I don't know if you also want to Emmanuel, if you're open to sharing your screen and maybe just exploring things around what you talked about, then maybe someone else can also, just share things. But I have Pinterest opened here on my end and it's so colorful. I have a lot of like amazing looking graphics here. Um, so okay. So I think you can share, you can just proceed, please. Just share and then you can also share links and we can also take screenshots, of some of these references and so we can build a solid mood board.
Okay. Uh, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, and can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I think I'm sharing something on Behance, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I think a growth leap, something.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So, I mean, as you were talking, I was just trying to start to go through, like, do what I said in terms of identity. I think if you look at this first page, kind of like got me thinking like the idea from here is that this is good. Look at how they have different facets of it. So right now we have different sections of chaos. So it's just like an idea of just kinda like an idea of what we could do in terms of maybe we have chaos working group, like different maybe chaos podcast, like I think you mentioned something like that. So this is just an example of what I was thinking. This is I think this is a community. Um they have colors, they have yes, so this is kind of like illustration of some of their events and some of the way they lay out their posters and let me see what's really looks interesting. Yeah, I think for me, what I like for this particular idea, for me, I think anybody else can see something else that they really like is the way they use this. I don't know if it's their logo, but the identity and the way they use it across their other what will I call it now? I'm not used to branding right words again, so I don't want to be sounding like someone that doesn't understand branding. But I don't know if you can understand. See, growth podcast, growth course, let's go upstairs. Yeah, webinars. So the way they use this, something also we could take inspiration from. What else? Yeah, let's go back. I think I saw one the other time also.
And
Mm,
just to kind of like chip something in there, I think when it also comes with the branding and playing around with words, it's just like you
yeah,
have chaos and then you have chaotic, right? Chaotic are kind of like chaotic of the week, kind of like a chaos contributor of the week, you know. So I mean on the aspect of words, not like the scribble now that those scribbles that we also use as part of the brand assets.
yeah, get it. Okay. I mean that's the only one that really caught my attention for now. If I see anyone, I would really share. Um, yeah, if I see anyone for now, I would share. Yeah,
So okay, I don't know if you can help us like maybe create add up a link to the
I will do
link
that.
to Figma. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
I'll do.
so yeah, so that's awesome. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Yeah, so I don't know any other person, you know, any other person wants to share something like that. Come on, pretty much. There's something I just know about design, even if you're not a visual design, a visual designer, right? Even as a product designer, you always see visual designs that sort of like caught your attention. And for a moment, you'll be like, come on, I'll probably someday I'd love to try out my hands on visual design or brand designs. Like you just love there's just something about the design that you just love it. So when I talk about, you know, sharing some of these ideas, it's probably just pulling some of these designs, right? And then um okay. Any other person? Trust? Felix?
Uh, so I just wanted
Okay.
to mention that I noticed a correlation. Okay, let me share my screen. So I'm just gonna scroll through all of the Pinterest that I'm looking at right now, and I noticed something common, like a common theme amongst like community, research community, health community, is they have this sort of pattern, all these squiggles, even the one that Emmanuel shared to, because when he shared it, I was like, do they use squiggles that much? That was actually what was going through my mind. And then I went to check, and they do have that, like this. It adds like character. I don't know how to put it, but almost like it humanizes the brand and makes it very welcoming. So I don't know if you notice, like there's all these squiggles around. Let me open this. So this is, I think, for women, and it's an environmental charity. You can see like certain squiggles. This one looks like water. So I think if we added that, it would help enhance our visual design eventually when we start adding them to the flyers. For example, you can say like they have like some sort of wavy that looks like music on their visual designs. So if you had some stuff like that too, it would work. So these are some of the things that we can look at. So rather than maybe just because it can be very confusing if we have to go through so many uh, mood boarding, if we can find a common ground, or not common ground now, common element, yes, that's the word, common element amongst brands like this. Once we're able to nail down what's common to them, we should be able to create something for ourselves.
Okay, so thank you so much. So I think so I'm gonna take thank you so much for that thought and feedback. Right. So personally, I my skill would say actually cut across, the product design and branding thing, and I really do like a lot of brand identity work too. So one of the ways I get ideas or develop, some of the thoughts, because you said something remarkable, because you can end up just cycling Pinterest, like almost everything in Pinterest looks colorful and beautiful to explore. But that also takes us back to like this keyword aspect, which I believe that we'll just explore, right? And I think it's something we're gonna like contribute to right now. And I'm gonna explain the idea around here, and then we'll, because at the end of the day, we are not so sure of what to look at on Pinterest. You always have to come back to this, right? So this is usually like one of my very first like one of the very first things I play around with before I go over to Pinterest. Else you're just gonna get confused and get caught up, right? Um, okay, so first off is that these are the information we know, what we know about chaos. Chaos is an open source community. There's another one here I think I missed. And these words can either be compound words or you just use them as single words. So we have chaos, it's open source, right? It's a community, community. When you talk about community, open source, you talk about collaboration, then networking, right? DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, health, open source health, sustainability, and all that. And then maybe when you talk about tone, one of the words, it's playful, right? It's not like a bossy setting where, oh, there's a boss coming after you and all that. So it has to be like playful, maybe welcoming or something. Welcoming. We want a community, people come and they make friends easily, could be friendly and all that. Friendly. So you see the direction where we're going now. So friendly means you can't even start considering certain fonts. It rules out certain fonts. It also has to be playful in some aspect. It has to be welcoming. So playful now will also give us a good grounds to play around those scribbles, right? Especially, I think that's also what really influenced, because when you check out some of the past things I've done, you wouldn't really think maybe like this flyer is for some, I don't know, some company somewhere looking so serious and all that. So that was what I was like, trying to, see how we can play around this guy, right? That's where the whole idea came from. Playful, not the regular. So instead of having something horizontal, why not just turn it vertical? Come on. So now one of the thoughts that came to mind was like, so, so if you look at this playground, maybe that will also give us some insights. I'm just sharing some of the insights we're working on some of these things. At the end of the day, you could even see my it's just funny. You could see the line of thoughts till eventually what like arriving at this design. And it's just something, first of all, it's like, okay, what everybody would do, and then what nobody would want to try, and kind of like, the extreme. And then, so I think that I tried playing around, maybe I deleted it or something. Why am I bringing this up is that this thought just came to mind, like, come on, Kingsley, you're in control here, and like nobody's gonna. well, nobody's really gonna shout at you. So can you just like just free yourself and then just work on something that it's not like the usual, right? So if you see most of the design around here, it's just really from like a place of, for example, this was our last year open source or like Newmont designs, right? You could see this in a chain, putting them together, they look like a wave or something, and it's just a KS logo. So I'm just trying to like put some thought into our heads, right? That when you now, so you looking at this right now, so this list, right? I don't know, maybe you can come in here and add in some words, right? That you think should describe. Okay, please go ahead, Emmanuel.
So I just want to chip in something here. I think I know I've at one point of my career I've done branding, right? So I'm not going to say I'm talking as an expert or I know what's really branding it like right now because a lot of things is involving, right? But I think if I'm correct, we have an identity. There's an identity already that we have. Chaos has an identity. The logo is existing. The color is there. In my own opinion, I think what we just need to do is to build on what we have and flesh out language. So when I say language, let's say, for example, if you take the recent, there's this eBay recently did their brand refresh, or what's it called, even OpenAI. Now, if you take note, those guys they necessarily maybe just do like some little tweak in their logo brands, like oh, had one sort of dots. But the idea, right? What me I'm thinking that we should focus more, it's about because from what you showed right now, the way you use the logos and everything, the colors are consistent. So we don't necessarily need to really disturb ourselves with the identity is the identity, except if you want to do a refresh or we want to change the logo. But I just feel like we should focus more on how do we then use or how do we build a language or how do we build a guideline that okay, these are set of colors, these are like the what's that word now? The color palette that we have. So this is our font. So we have maybe just saying, okay, we have two fonts. If you want to do maybe website, this product in product, oh, we have some illustration pattern that when you are designing flyer, this is kind of the range you should go, like sort of like a guideline, in my own opinion, because for example, we have colors, the predefined colors already from the CHAOSS logo. We have the logo already, identity done already. So I mean, instead of us just maybe looking for like identity slash of inspiration, it could be more like focus more on okay, how do we set the language? So that's where it's a in my own opinion, I think it's more of a robust branding guideline that we need to create and say, okay, if you are coming as a designer, check this brand guideline. This is who we are, this is how we talk, this is how we want to express ourselves. And try and soak yourself into that as a designer, then take inspiration from that. We don't say we should do the explore, but being within the sphere of the brand guideline that has been provided. So instead of us maybe creating stuff around colors or what's it called, logos or identity, I think it should be more about okay, how do we use what we have right now so that if you want to do we do stuff. You mentioned that we do events, we do flyers, all our set websites, even in product. I think I've talked about once. I know we have different working group and different products like August, and just a couple of them. So how do we then want to start using those identity? Then we know something ties us back together to chaos. That's just another thought that I think as you were explaining, that I kind of came to my mind that okay, maybe you should just focus on this aspect.
Beautiful line of thought there. Beautiful, beautiful. I don't know. Someone else has something to say, probably reacting to Emmanuel's comments. Okay. I'll assume that's a no. Okay, so thank you so much for that feedback, Emmanuel. And of course, you made the valid points. And yes, so establishing some of the things we have already, and I think one of them being the Chaos logo and the colors. There's no denying that we have this. The colors. So for now, truth is, for now, the designer, right, that worked on, besides the logo fonts that was shared, um, I'm not sure a lot of work was done. If I thought there was a lot of work done, I can't even find, I can't even put my fingers on it. Was done around, like you said, highlighting, for example, I am a visual designer, and then maybe Trust is just exclusively product design, and someone else is an illustrator, Felix is an illustrator, and all that. And then you come into Chaos Project, and then maybe there's this a peculiar reach out to you, Emmanuel. I was like, okay, or reach out to Felix at the illustrator. Like, okay, Felix, we need some illustrations for for the Chaos open source education program and all that. And I bet you Felix would pretty much just jump on one of these websites and look up illustration, or even might even want to use AI to generate one, right? So, like you said again, also one of the things that what we really do want to accomplish at the end of the day is that if we are making illustrations, right, what illustration style, you notice what you just shared, where um, it was more scribble those guys were using. Even when they have like art, it was more of line art, right, than a fully illustrated image. So are we going to be playing around line art, right? So if we're going to be playing around line art, is it possible that maybe anyone that is good at maybe scribbling or doing stuff could just scribble things, right? Could maybe just make it and produce this thing. And then someone that wants to work on the design, that it's not really like a line art person, but this is a person available to work on something and sees, oh, Chaos uses line art. Maybe I can literally just pull those assets and put together a simple flyer. You get the point? So besides just um creating a guide, even if it's a document, because this eventually it's going to be a document. Besides just creating that document that points to, oh, this is how you apply this is how you apply this is how you apply the colors, this is where you use these colors and all that. Oh, these colors, this is how working groups are supposed to be represented in chaos designs, right? This is this color represents when you're designing something like explicitly, maybe DI, this is a color you really play around with, So besides just defining that now, um, we also need the practical parts where you now have to work on, even if it's going to be like fictional designs, because the fictional design helps. The documentation, maybe as a visual person, if I go through the documentation, I'll really understand, probably wouldn't need any extra. But why we now need templates, right? Template is now the right word to use is um, for those of us that are not good with the visual design. And then this job, for example, Harmony, the leader of the technical writing group reached out and was like, oh, we needed flyer Kingsley to urgent for this X space and all that. And then I had to just quickly just work on something, right? So what if maybe there was someone available in the community? It wasn't really convenient at the time for me, but I just had to work on something. So what if we had like maybe a template of this, right? And then someone comes in, oh, the person already sees that there's this reddish pink a chaos color, right? That is attached to the Chaos Africa. Maybe it's pretty much common in most of the flyers you make. I don't know if you can like see semblance or something. It's pretty much common in the designs we make. So the person doesn't know, oh, I don't have to reinvent anything. So this is how the thing works and all that. And then just duplicate the templates and then make some slight changes and whoop, the design is ready. So you don't have to be a pro to work on something because not just that there's a document guiding you, this there are also templates to help you walk through this. So these are, I think that was why I added this too. So these are some of the things I hope we, okay, if we have like a chaos wrap now, maybe how do we even start going about the design? How do we start like this? And then, that's really what we are looking at achieving at the end of all this. And I'm so excited that this call we've been able to make like baby steps progress. And so like I said, everything here is still really going to come together to help us create something. So these keywords is important because when you look at the existing assets, like you also mentioned, Emmanuel, when you look at the existing assets, so how can this asset be used to depict, for example, the chaos icon already depicts like that community settings where kind of like, it's like a ring, people coming together. So sometimes you're making a flyer or making any design that maybe you want to express like the community stuff, you probably will plan around that, So we will now be looking at the existing assets, which is just limited anyways, and see how we place it side by side with this, and then see other elements we can explore because the elements now is what we might also probably, if we are working on a flyer, we might want to now add it to our flyers and all that. Um, I wish um I could pull up one of those old designs we had for the Chaos banner. Honestly, it was maybe after 2 months into the community, that was when that banner made sense to me, right? Because it felt like back then, like you were dealing with chemistry and molecules and all that. I was like, well, what's this? What's this thing? When I first joined, I was like, who even worked on this? Why is this even relevant to an open source community? So, but when I really now understood the health behind the community, right? So it's sort of like, oh, maybe this person borrowed something from maybe a biological, cellular, as a molecular structure or something, and infuse it into the design. Like, so maybe the execution was a little bit, waggy, but then I felt like, damn, this is amazing. Like I really, really did appreciate that work. So sometimes that's why I feel like these keywords, right? It's what's really going to influence, our direction of, how we even use the existing assets, right? Because oh, this thing communicates health, this thing communicates DI, this thing communicates networking. It's easy to explain. And then again, oh, not at any point in time you have to make me feel like I'm coming to report to a boss or I'm coming to, it has to be playful, it has to be, just calm, tone and all that. So that being said, we're barely ready at the top of the hour. So I don't want to extend this. I want us to on a personal basis so you can still probably explore more keywords, the more keywords we have, I think the better for us to, or if you want to limit it to this and work with it, it's fine. And then if you like, we've also identified some of the things screenshots we want to see. I think these are just a whole lot. There are most of this, but someone made a screenshot. I wouldn't just go out rightly and delete them. So you can also make recommendations, specific recommendations, right? So if it's around open source health, right? These are recommendations you're making. If it's around DEI, these are recommendations you're making, and then we will eventually, maybe on our next call, we will look at it together and probably start working, right? But for the meantime, I think since peculiarly needs slides for work, I think I'm just beginning to explore something on that. So, but please let's not stop here after the call. Let's also see how we can see put in some work and make some additions and then so that we can just push this forward. I don't know if this makes sense. It's already known. Yeah. So I don't know if this makes sense and if we understand better now what we are looking at achieving, or did I end up confusing everyone? Please forgive me. Okay, I can see some thumbs up. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time. I really appreciate the time making out time. It matters a whole lot. So please and please and please, let's just make effort after this call to just get some things on. If you have some quick questions, my very much active to reply. All right. So thank you so much. And I think that will be the end of this call. I want to assume we all added our name to yeah. Okay, fine. So we all added a name to. I think I saw I. So yeah. So yeah. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing us on our next bi-weekly call. And please do enjoy the rest of your week. Yeah. Um. So Emmanuel, I
Bye,
don't know.
everybody.
Um. Yeah. Let's sign up. Okay. Okay. So Emmanuel, I don't know if we can connect on the Google Meet, please. Thank you.
Okay.